In March 2013, my wife and I found ourselves boarding a small helicopter bound for White Island, 30 miles off the east coast of North Island, New Zealand. The island is privately owned and allows a limited number of visitors each year. Friends had told us that this was a must-do whilst we were in New Zealand. They were right. It proved to be a truly unforgettable day. All I had to do was to follow Sue and the pilot and take as many pictures as possible. Our pilot and guide today is Mark Law, who is also a trained geologist and is one of the few pilots permitted to fly visitors to the island. The volcano has been active for at least 150,000 years. It's New Zealand's only live marine volcano and attracts scientists and volcanologists from all over the world. It was named White Island by Captain Cook in 1769 because it appeared to him to be in a cloud of white steam. He didn't come close enough to realise that it was a volcano. Volcanic activity is constantly monitored with a whole battery of sophisticated electronic equipment which relays data back to the mainland. There are regular eruptions, the last one only being a few weeks before our visit. Walking on the island must be like walking on the surface of the moon. Hardly any vegetation survives in the harsh acidic environment. Instead, lush beds of sulphur crystals grow amongst the hissing, steaming and bubbling fumaroles breaking through the Earth's crust. Mark leads us towards the main crater. We have to follow him carefully, as in some places the surface is paper thin and we could easily slip into a vent or a hot mud pool just below the surface. We carefully walk right up to the edge of the immense crater, which is constantly belching up steam and mud vented from the inner earth. As we look down, we begin to appreciate the raw power trying to burst through the crust of the earth. Mark explains how with the constant eruptions the landscape is continually changing, and he is on the lookout for signs of activity and potential danger. As we make our way back, we stop in awe and look at some of the staggering bright yellow chimneys of delicate sulphur crystals and the stunning colours created by the elements. Arriving back at the shore, we make our way through the flotsam towards the old abandoned sulphur factory. From the mid-1880s until the 1930s, many attempts were made to exploit the sulphur for both fertiliser and ore for sulphuric acid. Conditions were harsh, and there was always the threat of volcanic activity, not only on the island but also from nearby eruptions. Over the years, the island changed hands several times, and numerous attempts were made to maintain production. Operations were constantly plagued by technical problems. In 1914, a section of the crater collapsed, killing 10 men and destroying all the buildings. Production was not resumed until 1923 and continued for 10 years until the Great Depression brought bankruptcy and the final closure of the plant. Today we can only scramble over the rusting remains and try to imagine how it was. All too soon we are returning to the helicopter for the 20-minute flight back to the mainland and the end of a truly remarkable visit.